better writer, and we will become better teachers of writing. Today's show, I'm going to look at some frequently asked questions surrounding the process of research, because I know a lot of people are involved in research writing. And I brought up an important point in our show last week about the difference between syntax and diction and what they mean to a writer, so I'm going to share some information with you about that. And our director and I were discussing the concept of blank verse in poetry, so I have a sample of that with you also. And Ken's going to look at what today, Ken?
I was going to start a review of some of the topics that we've discussed so far this school year, last semester and semester.
And numbers on the screen, if you are at home and have a question for us, we'll be glad to give you as much information as we can. And you can also email us either here at the station or our regular private email, and we'll get back with you via email.
Your email?
Yeah, there's our email addresses. If there's something that you stumble upon during the week, you can email us, and we'll get back to you and return the email with some information that will hopefully answer your question. Okay, so without any further ado, Mr. Cash.
Okay. Now again, if there's something that we've discussed this semester or last semester on the show, or any questions you may have, be sure to give us a call, and I'll deviate from what I had planned and we'll just try to answer those questions. If not, what I was going to do is just go over some of the topics that we've discussed on the show so far. And the first thing we started off with was what I call the foundation, or I think is the foundation of all writing, is parts of speech. Okay, if we're going to discuss any of the other topics, it really is going to be to your advantage to know parts of speech. And we said we group all words in the English language into at least one of 8 groups. Now, as we've discussed previously, there are some words that go into more than one group, and some just go into one group. And we said that in a noun, hopefully everybody knows, is person, place, or thing. Pronoun takes the place of a noun, like he, she, we, they, it, so forth. Those would be pronouns. Then we have verbs. We discussed 2 kinds of verbs. We have action verbs, run, jump. We have what we call linking verbs, or another word would be, label would be state of being verbs, which would be like is, are, have, has, and so forth. They join, link, or connect the subject with the rest of the sentence. Then we have what we call the 2 modifiers, adjectives, which are words that describe nouns and pronouns. The blue shirt. Okay, shirt is a thing, so that's a noun. Blue is telling us more about the shirt, describing it, modifying it, so blue would be the adjective. Okay, the other modifier, what we call adverbs. Now, again, most adverbs end in an ly. Not all of them, but most of them do. And we said that adverbs can modify or describe 3 kinds of words: verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. And we have looked at some sentences. We also talked about conjunctions, especially when we talked about fixing sentence fragments. We had the coordinating conjunctions, and there's 7 in English language, and we said one way to remember those 7 words would be if you think of a woman's name who's Faye, F-A-Y, there we go, and that woman Faye is a noun. Okay, we have for, and, yet, so, nor, or, but. Now, I notice many instructors, instead of using that, they tell students to remember the words fanboys. Same principle. The first letter of each of those words, or I mean the letters of each of those words is the first letter of each of the coordinating conjunctions. And again, coordination means what? Join. So the coordinating conjunctions join other words together. Then we looked at the other kind of conjunction, which we call the subordinating conjunctions. And some of the textbooks, at least here at Tri-C, have a page where it lists some of the common subordinated conjunctions. An author whose book we use here for some of the developmental English courses, John Langan, calls them dependent words. It's just different names for the same group of words. Words like because, while, although, and so forth. Okay, then another thing we looked at briefly were the 3 words we call articles. I sometimes tell students to think of them as adjectives. A means one, an means one. The can be used before a singular word or before a plural word. Again, we said the first sound if the first sound you hear in the next word is a vowel sound, we use an to say one, like we say an apple. We say a apple. Now the first sound we hear, if the first sound you hear in the next word is a consonant, we said a man. The first sound we hear is the M, which is consonant, so let's say one man, we'd say a man. And again, the we can put before a singular or plural word. Okay, then we said some words we can ask two questions on in a sentence. What part of speech is the word, which would be, again, one of these 8 names labeled here. And we also discussed prepositions. Interjections, again, we said were exclamatory words that show a lot of emotion, like wow, for example, would be interjection. Okay, now some of those parts of speech have different functions, different reasons for being in a sentence. We said subject is always going to be a noun or a pronoun, person, place, or thing. Direct object, receive, the action, a verb. And we talked about indirect objects, objects of prepositions. Now remember, prepositional phrases are groups of words that just add details to the main idea. The main idea of every sentence when you're reading or when you're writing is going to be the subject and the main verb. Now what I mean by main verb is that's the verb that tells us what the subject is doing. The subject and main verb, the main idea of a sentence, we can add details to that by adding prepositional phrases. Then we talked about complements. Now some instructors, instead of using that word, they called these words predicate nouns, which is the same thing as the subject. A predicate adjectives in the predicate, in other words, the rest of the sentence that does not include subject or any word that goes with the subject. And that word goes back to and explains or describes the subject. Okay, then we looked at sentence fragments. If you remember when you write, everything you write in what we call expository prose, and that's what everything that Nick and I, except the poetry and some of the more creative types of writing, except for those, what Nick and I have been talking with you about for the last couple semesters is called expository prose. And if you've been watching the show, you've noticed that we've said these words before. Expository, okay. Expository prose, expository just means you're explaining information in prose using what I call the conventional rules of grammar, which are the rules that we've been talking about all along. We talked about 3 kinds of fragments. In expository prose, every group of words you write has to be a complete thought. It has to have a subject, a main verb, and it has to express a complete thought. So when you write something and you're proofreading it to make sure that everything's in order before you send a letter out, a business letter, or before you give an essay or research paper to your instructor, you want to make sure you don't have any fragments, sentence fragments. Now we said a dependent word fragment or dependent clause fragment does have a subject and a main verb, but it starts with one of those subordinating conjunctions, like because. We also talked about ing fragments, meaning that your first word ends in ing. And if you remember, we did say there is an exception called gerund. Then we talked about what we call 2 fragments, meaning your first word is the word to. Many times that will be start a group of words that's an incomplete thought that's not complete. Then we talked about fragments we call added detail fragments, meaning we have a group of words, but there's no subject and there's no main verb. And our last type of fragment we discussed was missing subject fragment, where the title of that actually says what the situation is. We have a group of words, we have a verb, but there's no subject. We're missing a subject. Now, we said there are 3 ways, mainly 2 ways, to fix every kind of fragment. Let's get a little bit. Okay. Now, if you're talking about a dependent word fragment, we said every dependent word fragment starts with a subordinating conjunction. So to make that complete, all we have to do is take off that first word. Because I was going to school. Take off because and just say I was going to school. That's a complete thought. Now, for the other kinds of fragments and for dependent word fragments, we have some other options here. We add the fragment to a complete thought before it or to a complete thought after, depending on whatever ideas you're expressing, whichever makes more sense. But you can always add a fragment to a complete thought. Now, once you have one complete thought in a group of words in a sentence, you can add as many fragments of that as you want, and it's going to be complete. You just can't have one or more fragments by themselves. Another way we can fix a fragment, add what's missing. For example, if we have a group of words with the verb, but we don't have a subject, we add a subject, and that'll make it complete. Okay, then if you remember, we talked about just the opposite of fragments, which what we call run-on sentences, and that's when you have too many complete thoughts run together with no punctuation mark in the middle. two complete thoughts, nothing in the middle. And we also talk about what we call comma splices, and that's when we have two complete thoughts with just a comma by itself in the middle. So run-on, comma splice are equally wrong. The run-on has nothing in the middle of two complete thoughts. Comma splice has just a comma by itself in the middle. We can fix both of those the same way. We have four options. Now sometimes when you're proofreading your work and you decide you've written a run-on sentence or a comma splice and want to fix it, sometimes all four of these options are available to you. Sometimes based on the ideas you're expressing or the structure of your sentences, you may have only one option available to you, or maybe two or three, but not all four. So it depends. The one way that will always work is in the middle of those two complete thoughts, just put a period and capitalize the next letter of the next word. That will always work. The next possibility you have to fix a run-on comma splice is to add a semicolon, or put a semicolon in the middle. Now what that does tells the reader that grammatically speaking we have two complete thoughts, but the ideas in those two thoughts are closely related to each other. If you do put a semicolon and you don't have a proper noun after it, like your name, my name, Cleveland, Ohio, if it's what we call a common noun like man, woman, school, so forth, you do not have to capitalize the next letter. You also capitalize the next word I, if referring to yourself. That will be the next word. Otherwise, you don't have to capitalize. Now, if you're ever in a situation where you think, okay, I've written run-on comma splice, I'm not sure which one of these two to use, always choose the period in the capital letter. It'll always be correct. Okay, another option you might have is putting a comma, it's hard to see there, but comma, and one of those coordinating conjunctions. So you have a complete thought, comma, coordinating conjunction, another complete thought, and then your period. And last is subordination, which we take one of those two complete thoughts and we just add a subordinate conjunction before the first complete thought or before the second one. Okay, now going quickly here, but again, this is a review. If you've been a faithful watcher of this show, you already know this. If you're an avid Tri-C student, you already know this stuff. Okay. And we talked about subject-verb agreement. Now again, as I had it down in my head when I was going to school, and you probably did too, a noun, person, place, or thing, I mean one, singular, there's no S on, like word table. One table, no S. To make that plural more than one table, all we do is add an S. But for some reason, a lot of teachers didn't tell us that verbs can be singular and plural also. Now here's the trick. You make verb singular and plural exactly the opposite way that you make a noun singular and plural. So again, if you have firmly fixed in your mind how to make a noun singular and how to make a noun plural, think to yourself, verbs are the opposite. So a singular verb does have an S. A plural verb does not have an S. Now, you have a subject and a verb that go together. They both have to be singular or they both have to be plural. The trick is you make one singular one way, you make the other word singular the opposite way. For example, we could say the students singular. The student goes. Notice the noun has no S, verb does. They're both singular. Or if we want to make the subject plural and say students, we add an S to that word. And make a verb plural, we do not have an S, so we say the students go. Students go, they're both plural words. That's fine. They have to agree in verb. Okay, and we move on to something a little tougher. Pronoun agreement. Again, we said pronouns, he, she, we, they, and so forth. Okay. Just want to make sure, hopefully you can see this. Okay.
That's fine.
Pronoun and antecedent both need to be singular or both plural. Now, the antecedent is the word that the pronoun refers back to. In an example sentence, Marie showed me her antique wedding band. Now, who is her? It's the same person as Marie. Notice Marie singular, her is singular. They have to agree in number. Okay, another example, so the antecedent there is Marie. Okay, another example would be students enrolled in the art class must provide their own supplies. We have the pronoun their. Now, who does that refer to? Students. So students is the antecedent. Now notice students and their both plural. They have to agree in number. Okay. Then we talked about pronoun reference. Now this is something that a point that I think I mentioned before in another broadcast. I'd like to repeat it. Because many of us, when we talk and write, we do this and we may not always be aware of what we're doing. when you talk or when you write, you know what you're writing about, you know the situation you're writing about, but that does not necessarily mean the reader knows that. So you have to make everything very, very clear to the reader. Now, one of the ways we can say something or write something that's not clear is if we mess up our pronoun reference. Now, I'll show you exactly what I mean here. Make sure the reader knows which word a pronoun refers to. An example would be, Peter told Dan that his wife is unhappy. Now, notice we have the pronoun his. Prior to that, before that in the sentence, we mentioned two male people, Peter and Dan. So you may know whose wife they're talking about or writing about. That doesn't mean the reader knows that. So we have to make sure the reader knows, does he refer to Peter or to Dan? This is one way we could fix that problem. Peter told Dan, comma, and we're going to quote Peter, my wife is unhappy. Now, if we wrote it that way, there's no ambiguity. The reader knows that or whose wife it is, it's Peter's wife. We could rewrite that sentence to make it Dan's wife being one that's unhappy, as long as the reader knows who it is. Okay. Then we went on to pronoun point of view. Now, these pronouns are used usually as subjects or, as we said earlier, complements. First person singular, second person singular, third person singular. And this is first person plural, second person plural, third person plural. Now, one of the main ideas I would like you to remember when you write, and it applies to everything, be consistent. If you start your essay using the word he or she, stay with it. Don't halfway through switch to we. If you start with they, don't switch to I halfway through. In the same essay, in the same piece of writing. Here's a couple of examples. Now, this would be faulty or inconsistent, example one. In this course, a person can be in class for weeks before the professor calls on you. Now, the word person is equivalent to third person singular, same as anybody's specific name would be. Now, what do we do at the end? We switch to second person, you. We want to do that. Also, probably most instructors do not even want you to use the word you because you're writing for the general audience, generally or usually, and you don't want to write specifically to one person. Okay. Again, there may be certain situations where you're writing where it's appropriate to use the word you. In those cases, go ahead. But generally speaking, in formal writing, if you're writing for a general audience, try to avoid the word you. Okay, so we're going to take that example that was faulty that we just looked at. Now we're going to rewrite it so that it is consistent. In this course, a person, third person singular, can be in class for weeks before the professor calls on him or her, which are forms of he, she. Notice third person singular, third person singular, third person singular. Okay, they're all consistent. Well, I see my portion of the show is almost up. Yes, Ricardo.
So it's very important to be consistent when you're doing a paper, right?
Consistent everything.
For example, if you use he the first time, you must continue to use it when you get to the next part of the paper.
Exactly.
You can change it to they or certain things, but if it's about the person, if it's he or, for example, Joe did this and that, you must stay with that.
Exactly.
The entire paper.
Right. Now, if I heard you right, you said, let's say, for example, you're writing about a person, his name's Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you refer to him again at paper, you have to use he or him or some singular male pronoun. That's right. That's right. Now, again, once you go from one paper to another, if the next paper you want to talk about a group of people, they, then that's fine. But in the same paper, right, you want to be consistent. You also want to be consistent in something that, if you've seen earlier broadcasts, in fact, in the past few weeks, fault parallelism, if you remember that, where you have, let's say, if my qualities are, and then you have three adjectives. You're going to have three adjectives and a noun. You want them all to be consistent. Okay, so I guess, Nick, you want to take over?
Okay.
And I will sit in the audience and try to learn something. Okay.
Okay, today let's share some information with you on research, because a lot of students come in with research papers. Also, Ken made an interesting observation last week when he had mentioned the differences between syntax and diction. If time permits, we had an interesting question about poetry and blank verse. And then I also have a pyramid that enables one to analyze film, drama, and short story. And also, I recognize our honored guest, Ricardo Gill, alumni of Glenville High. Question, what is a tar bloodder?
I got to start when a fan chant, let's get the tar out of that team.
Oh, is that what? I'll be darned.
My first guess I thought, because we done a lot of asphalt around the Glenville area.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be a logical point. Oh, that's neat. I like that.
Yeah.
And Ricardo played for the legendary
Coach
Coach Ginn. Yeah. Then
And I
football
heard
schools.
from also another classmate, whose name I don't recall right now, but he was the best kicker in the history of that school.
Wow,
Football
congratulations.
kicker. So, yeah.
And Ricardo on his way for sports broadcasting.
Right.
He frequents the lab often. We're always glad to
Right.
see him.
Long-time friend. Student.
Yeah.
Hard work.
Now, let's take a look at our friend Elmo's going to help us out. These are most of the research questions that I have to field when I'm in the lab. Read one for us, Ken.
Explain the main difference between MLA and APA for maths.
Yeah, that's tricky because in your social science classes and science classes, you always want updated information. So I think the main difference is you have to plunk that year right after the author. You don't want to use anything older than 5 years. Could you read two, Ricardo?
Yes. What are the difference between a long quote and a short quote?
What you want to do there is, if it's less than 5 lines, put quotation marks on it, leave it in the paper. But if it's 5 lines or more, bang it in 10 spaces, no quotation marks. Okay, number 3, what is the difference between a paraphrase and a summary? Tricky, because some of your instructors are going to put restrictions on you. They're going to want, I want 3 short quotes, I want 4 long quotes, I want 2 summaries, and I want 4 paraphrases, which is kind of difficult. Paraphrase takes the information that's there. You put it in your own words, but you do not distort any of the information that's there. Now, summary, you could pick and choose what information you want, summarize it, and take any slant out you want. So that's the difference between the two. Now, let's see. 4. What is a direct quote from a source? When is the best time to use a quote? When people are doing their first research paper, sometimes they misinterpret that and think a quote is the direct speech of someone, which it is, but a direct quote also means whatever I pull from the source word by word has to either be in quotation marks, or if it's a long quote, it has to be spaced in 10 spaces. Go ahead, Carl.
It's all right, kind of your own words about what the source is saying.
Yeah, pretty much so. You're
It's not okay to use it word by word unless it's necessary.
good point. You're going to want to blend your ideas with the experts.
So
You're
you
going
can't use their word by word by word.
No, if you do, it's got to have quotation marks around it. Otherwise, you'll be accused of plagiarism. Stirs fright, and a lot of my colleagues, I think they overreact, but as I mentioned on a couple shows, they had an editorial page in Plain News. There's 2 men in engineering school who they feel have plagiarized. One guy did an actual project on a bridge overlooking a canal, and the other guy did something with some electronics at a power distribution center. So they're afraid if these guys go out to work, they could cause some serious problems if they genuinely don't know what they're doing. So they're holding up the graduation. There's on one hand, it's a really serious offense because you're in a sense cheating yourself by claiming materials not your own. And in another sense, to be practical, you should just sit down and say, okay, can we rewrite this together? That would be my suggestion. But, okay, let's see. What is the best way to avoid plagiarism? I would say try to average 2 insight per parenthetical references per page. If an instructor sees 2 places where you put author and page number, they're going to probably back off and say, this student made a serious effort to give credit to people with these different ideas. So that might be a good way to go about it. Ricardo?
How do you evaluate the credibility of a source?
Another controversy. Some instructors feel that a web page doesn't have an author's name on it. It's not credible because they're not owning up to what they're saying. When you put your name on the bottom of something, you're held accountable and you have to make sure that what you're saying is reliable. But on the other hand, if you don't put your name on it, you can say whatever you want, and it gives you incredible freedom. So that makes for really interesting reading. So you got to be careful. When you're doing your research, try not to use too many websites without an author. Next one. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I'm just going to reiterate something that we may have said before, is that when you read something and you're serious about it, do a little research sometime. Like if you go and you get, let's say, a nonfiction book, something's true, from a bookstore, and you want to see how credible that information book is, make sure you do a little homework and see who wrote that book. In other words, what is that person's qualifications for writing that information? Because many times we read books that are written by people who really are not authorities in whatever they write about, and some people have the illusion that just because they see something in print they think is true, and that's not always the case. So be, at least in some situations, be a little aware of who is writing what they're reading.
Yeah, good point.
Does that person really in position to know what he or she is reading?
Yeah, they usually have
You don't always have to do that, but in some cases.
Yeah, it helps know that the writer's background, where they've been, what they've done, what other works they published. All that gives you credibility. Okay, let's see. Credibility 7. What classes require MLA and APA? Tricky. Traditionally, modern language association means languages and arts. And APA is American Psychological Association. That's all your psych papers, social sciences, and technical sciences. But you really have to check with the instructor and ask them, which format do you prefer, sir or ma'am, or, because they may have their own interpretation of the two standard formats. I've seen that a lot. I helped two coworkers document their master's papers. They were in, one was in athletic administration, the other one was in recreational programs, community rec. And those technically should have been APA papers. But when we pulled the instructions, I pulled out my manual. There was a big difference between what the book says and what that teacher wanted. So it's really best to check with the teacher. Okay, next one. Let's see, what are some of the differences in the reference pages? Now, at the end of your research paper for MLA, you're going to have works cited. It's going to have to be double-spaced, and you're going to have an indent on second and following lines. Now, I've seen APA papers where it's called a hanging indent, where you're indenting like a paragraph, where your source is out there and everything else is here. So that was an odd situation. So that's two main differences I had seen. 9, how do you diversify your sources for your paper? Everything's on the internet now. So you could pull in chapters from books, you could look at newspapers, you could look at professional journals, you could look at personal websites and professional websites. So there's a lot of different approaches you could take to gathering materials. And the best way to pick a topic for your research paper is follow your heart and your head. If you're interested in it, chances are you're going to push yourself through it and get it done. Okay. Questions or comments on research? Go ahead.
Yes. On plagiarism, I did participate in it one time because I ran out of ideas on my first paper of the semester for English.
Yeah.
And he did give me a revision.
Oh, good.
I believe he did or didn't, but I've learned the lesson.
Yeah.
I ran out of idea, no choice but to copy word by word.
Yeah. Just have to try to be careful. If you're going to go word for word, quote it with quotation
Yes.
marks, or transform it into your own ideas, summarize the quote, then you're safe. But it's easy to do once you start mixing their work, your work.
Yeah, so sometimes I'm afraid to use my ideas because I know it's a good idea or a bad idea.
Yeah.
I hesitate sometimes when the first idea comes. I either go with it or go down the next idea.
Great film called Finding Forrester. It's about a young African-American gentleman in the Bronx. He befriends former Mr. Universe, former James Bond.
John Connery.
Sean Connery! That's it. And John Connery, who's a famous author, the young man said the same thing you did. And he says, well, you have to write your first draft from your heart and your second draft from your head. So it's just the idea of throwing everything down. If there's other words in it, then we go back the second time. Chances are it'll be okay. That's a good point, though. Okay. In our, I think, last show or two shows prior, Mr. Cash had an interesting comment. And this is connected to plagiarism because diction and word choice are what determine a person's writing style. I don't think I have any extra copies, guys. I think it's the only two I brought. Now, let's look at what diction is. This term is the choice of words that a writer chooses to use in their work. A writer may choose either an abstract word or a concrete word. Oh, that should be word. Depending upon the character or the situation in the work. For example, if a writer has a rough, uneducated character who disagrees with another character, the character may say, hell no. On the other hand, if you have an aristocrat who disagrees with another aristocrat, the character may say, I believe I have a different opinion. So it all depends on the writer and the situation. Now, syntax is another term we threw around the other day. And that is the ordering of words into meaning verbal patterns. A poet can change the word order of a line for a special effect. In Emily Dickinson's A Narrow Fellow in the Grass, the speaker in the, oh, I forgot my N. The speaker in the poem, let's put an N in there, states his notice sudden is. In most cases, we would say his notice is sudden. But with the verb at the end of the line, Dickinson creates a sense of surprise that we would feel if we came upon a snake unexpectedly in the grass. Dickinson's changing of the standard word order also makes the final sound of the line a hissing S that also has a snake-like suggestion for the reader. So syntax is the order we put words in, and diction is the choice of words that we make. And that's what determines our personal writing style. And oddly enough, by your second paper, your teacher's going to determine the writing style that you have, and that's when the plagiarism is most evident. If all of a sudden there's a radical change in your writing style, then that might be kosher. Okay. Any comments on syntax or diction or plagiarism? We beat that subject to death enough, I think.
I think so.
Miss Kelly Beard is in the house. How lovely. Oh, it'd be always nice to have you here.
Okay.
Now, there was another question this week from our director who asked a question about blank verse. Now, the best known one-line pattern for a poem in English is blank verse, which is unrhymed iambic pentameter. Most portions of Shakespeare's plays are in blank verse, and so some of the dramatic monologues of Browning and Frost. Iambic means that it is a line made up of primarily of iambs. Those are unstressed syllable and stressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. And it gives you a kind of sense of music in it. This is what Romeo and William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, standing by Juliet's window and see some candlelight come out. So he says, but soft what light through yonder window breaks. So you could see by the accenting of the syllables had a little drama to it. So that's what we mean by blank verse. Now, you may have an entire poem in blank verse. Now this is written, we don't have an author on this one, and it's a Navajo mountain chant. Yeah. Did what?
Zoom in out.
Oh, zoom out a little bit?
Uh-huh.
Okay. This way? No, not that way. Other way. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Now, this is the last words of the prophet before he died. Want to give us a dramatic reading, Miss Beard?
Yes. Just at the top, anonymous.
Yeah.
Okay. Anonymous Navajo mountain chant. Last words of the prophet. Farewell, my younger brother. From the holy places the gods come for me. You will never see me again. But when the showers pass and the thunders peal, there you will say, there is the ordering of my elder brother. Translated by Washington Matthews.
Yeah, as you can see, with the blank verse, they don't need a rhyme. It's just so powerful as it is. And go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say in the second line or...
Oh, holy, we only need one L.
Oh, I put Holly.
No, yeah, my mistake.
You read right.
I read right?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ken.
okay.
That should be holy places. Like that. Let's say holly for Christmas time.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Now, I also wanted to share with you a lot of students are involved in writing a drama paper, and I have some key component parts of drama. There should be a review pyramid there in your stack. If not, do you have an extra? You could short kill maybe. This is the basic structure and basic elements in short story, drama, and film productions. Did you read the first one for us, Ricardo?
Setting. Where and when the work takes place. Urban, suburban, rural, past, present, or future.
Good. Can you read the second one?
Characters, round, develop, change, or are complex. Flat, remain same or are constant. Character analysis, physical traits, how they look, personality traits, how characters act, observable behavior and character traits, what they value or what is important to them.
Thank you. Item 3, rising action. Action or incidents in the plot that lead to or help develop conflict. Now, every main character is going to have some problems in the drama that they have to resolve. Now, your conflict could either be internal, you have a problem within your own heart, your mind. You could be conflicted with society over a societal norm, or, as in Moby Dick, you could be in conflict with nature, or you could be in conflict with supernatural, like Telltale Heart. The man was in conflict with his conscience because he had murdered someone. Okay, item 5. Read it again.
Well, teacher, I can't read.
Oh.
Okay, number 5. Climax. High point of the action in the story, usually when the main character meets head-on with a conflict.
Okay, good. 6. Falling action or incidents and actions occurring right after the climax. Now, number 7 and number 4 are connected. When the main character comes head-to-head with their problem, they have to figure out how to resolve or what resolution are they going to bring their problems. Go ahead.
It's like you talked to me earlier when in the play Life of a Salesman, the conflict, lost his job, he's afraid to lose his house in his heart, so he decided to commit suicide. That's the resolution.
Yeah, poor Willie. Yeah, good point. He was conflicted with himself because he thought to be a good father, good provider, he had to make lots of money. He was conflicted with society because they told him, you're an old man, you're no good to us anymore, which isn't really fair. Conflict with nature. Probably not, or the supernatural. Oh, his brother. Did you get the part where his brother comes back and talk to him?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, the ghost of his brother keeps hunting him in there. So that would be the supernatural part. His brother was a soldier of fortune and went to Africa to mine diamonds and went to the oil fields in Mexico and just tramped around the world, making money and never committed to one woman and never had a family like Willie. And poor Willie thought he was a failure because he didn't make money like his brother. And in the end, poor Willie, to resolve his problems, his financial problems, he had an insurance policy, and he thought, well, at least with my family will be covered with the insurance. And it was sad because I'd much rather have him and be broke. So, but 7 is how the main character is able to resolve or solve their problems around conflict. Now, the last item, the conclusion, that would be a new body of knowledge or understanding that the main character and or the reader is able to walk away with from the story or drama. Now, what I'd like to do is run through these again, and we could probably use a very famous American film that could be popular with someone in our audience, Wizard of Oz. We just happen to have a Wizard of Oz expert in our What a coincidence. Mr. Cash is the local Wizard of Oz expert. Oh, that's right. Well, that's another story. We'll keep off the air. We'll keep that one off the air. Okay, setting 10. When the work takes place, if we're looking at the film Wizard of Oz, urban, suburban, rural, past, present, future.
Well, I guess part of the movie takes place in Fantasyland. It's the way it's filmed is it's a dream sequence. Land has take place over the rainbow, so it's a fictitious place.
Okay, they started out in Kansas.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it starts in a rural area and ends in a rural area. Right,
Okay.
right.
Characters, round, they develop, do they change, are they complex, do they remain the same? And if we're to do a character analysis, we might only have time for the main character. Round means you develop or change. Did Dorothy change from beginning to end, or do you think, folks?
I don't think it changed. I think
Things changed, Carter? Remember the movie?
No, she was the same. He did get a little tip with her hair, that was it.
Oh, that's true.
Well, she did say at the end, if we ever go looking for a higher desire again, I won't go beyond my own backyard.
Oh,
So
she
did
did learn
learn
something.
from experience.
Yeah. What's that?
I'm sorry?
Message from baritone voice in the sky.
What did you say?
Okay. Now, so if we do a description of Dorothy,
What did you say, Dick?
her to describe Dorothy physically, you might want to put your mic forward, Ricardo. We would portray it as young teenage girl, right, Ken? Her
Yes.
physical trait.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Personality. What kind of personality does Dorothy have? Go ahead.
She had a good personality.
Yeah, she was. She was a good kid. Not too confrontational or anything. Now, what is important to Dorothy? Go ahead.
Her family and her dog.
Yeah, Toto's very important.
I like Toto.
Loves that pup. She really does. Okay. Rising action. Action that leads up to the plot would be probably, I would think, let me see, rising action is 3. That helps
Well,
develop.
it depends. See, the movie is really two parts, two connected parts. You know, the black and white parts that were literally filmed that way take place on the farm in which Dorothy lived, and
Right.
the rest is the fantasy land of Oz, which is represented by her dream.
Oh, okay.
Rising action is that, again, she wants to, when she sings that song over the rainbow, you know, she's wishing for a better life.
Yeah.
And then when she believes she's away from her family and her life, she wants that home movie, she tries to get back to
Yeah,
it.
to reunite with them.
Right, right.
Now, she's conflicted within herself because she's troubled. She's conflicted with society because that old woman tried to get rid of her dog. Her conflict with nature, she's fighting that tornado. And then supernatural, she has to fight the witch. So I'd say Dorothy was very conflicted. Poor girl.
I think so.
High point. That's always open to debate. But since we have an expert,
Yeah.
your expert opinion would be the climax would be what, Ken?
Well, the climax, I believe, is that they kill the Wicked Witch, so
Yeah.
she finds a way home.
And the famous line, I'm melting.
By
Dump
the
the
way,
water on that witch?
The Wicked Witch was from Cleveland, by the way.
Oh, she was.
And what's a
Wow.
little ironic is that before she was an actress, she was a kindergarten teacher. So, and,
Oh.
you know, her most famous role, she played just the opposite of that.
Wow. Okay, now, climax. Following action is after she's dead, they try to get home. Now, Dorothy resolved the conflict within herself because she realized she appreciated her parents in her home. Conflict with society was resolved because she got her dog back. The conflict with nature, the tornado eventually went away, and her conflict with witch was solved because she killed the witch. And final point. New body of knowledge and understanding that the main character and or reader is able to walk away from with the story of drama might be
That's line. There's
No Place Like Home. Okay, I think we're getting close to sign-off time.
Yep. Like a minute.
Yeah. So, we want to thank both our special guests, Ricardo and Miss Beard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to the future broadcast of the Browns, since it's probably going to be that guy.
Probably
We'll be
no.
doing first and 10 before you know it, won't you, Ricardo?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that'd be exciting. We're maybe our last broadcast for a while. We're in the planning works. Oh,
Not
we
gonna
had
come
a
back
shot.
next week?
Pardon?
You're not gonna come back next week?
I don't think so.
No.
This might.
No, this might be our last show for a while, but we will be back. If we could have the L for a moment here.
You want to zoom down there?
Yes. Since we're talking about Wizard of Oz, I just want to show you there's me in my wizard outfit.
Look out, there he is. I told you we had an expert.
I'm in the parade. I go to Oz Festival in Indiana every September.
Ah,
And the little girl there's name is Taylor. I have children myself. She's just somebody I met there. And she's my unofficially adopted daughter. She's
like
5
it.
years old in the picture. So, anyway. we
but
will see you
one of
again.
the many things I enjoy about the Metro campus is you never know when you're going to run into a celebrity. It just makes it fun being downtown.
Right.
We enjoyed being on the air, and we will return. Hopefully, we could maybe sneak in a few episodes this summer. If not, we shall return in fall for sure.
Right.
Because the swallows come back to Capistrano, the buzzards come back to Hinkley, the California condors come back to Rio Grande, and we're going to be back in zone.
That's right. And as I said before, keep writing.
Yeah.
Keep
Try
writing.
free write a couple pages a day and try to actively read a novel or magazine of some sort.
Right.
Because good readers are generally good writers.
Right.
It's good to see the printed page and transform it into your ideas, and it'll help you be a much better student.
Right. So until next time, we bid you adieu.
It's
And-
been a real good show. We enjoyed having you do this.
Yes. I hope we've shown you at least a few things that might help you along the way.
Yeah. And if you have any questions that you need addressed, email us. We'll be glad to get back to you via email, which is as much of an explanation as we can, possibly insert some handouts to help you.
Right. So until next time, take care.
Good luck on all your finals, and hopefully you'll have an enjoyable summer. If you're going to attend classes in the summer, I'll be up in the writing lab on the 4th floor, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5. So you can stop by and I'll be glad to give you a hand. In the last 2 weeks of crunch time, stop and see some more. Take care.